The Denver Broncos are now into the postseason after the longest drought in the history of the NFL. The last time they were in, Peyton Manning was their quarterback.
Playing my Carolina Panthers.
Yes, very much so. They won Super Bowl 50 and have not been in the postseason since. I believe they've had 14 different quarterbacks.
Wow.
Between Peyton Manning and Bo Nix. That's a large number.
Oh, I didn't even realize.
Remember when they brought in Case Keenum? They brought in Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
These were all the guys that were going to fix it. They drafted Paxton Lynch in the first round. One of the biggest first-round busts of maybe all time. They've had a lot of backups play. Trevor Siemian was in there. Yeah, there's a large number of them. And now the Broncos are in the postseason. They were picked to have about 4.5, 5 wins at the start of the year. They finished with 10 wins. They finish in the 7 seed of the postseason, Steve. And I think from your perspective, I kind of wanted to get how this offense in your mind kind of works. You know Sean Payton's offense. You know kind of how it operates. They made a decision to move on from some veteran guys. Before the season, Tim Patrick is out.
Some questionable things as well.
Definitely. Tim Patrick had a great camp. I was there. And went with a lot of young guys surrounding Cortland Sutton as the veteran, but then a young quarterback and some young receivers. What's your take on what they were able to do offensively with a rookie quarterback in this turnaround, really, that they've had?
Bo Nix has done a really good job of doing things. You can see at times he's had some high moments and he's had some, when I say rookie moments. But Sean Payton, Vance Joseph have done a remarkable job. Obviously, it starts with the defense, and that's not a knock on anything.
For sure.
But it does help you with play calling because you don't have to risk as much. You don't have to you can be that methodical, slow, watching paint dry because you know you're going to have another crack at it. You have another, because of your defense is giving you so many more opportunities. It makes play calling a little bit easier. It takes the risk versus reward part out, and you can really kind of dink and dunk and establish a good running game, stay on pace, eat up the clock. Your defense gives you enough turnovers and opportunities offensively that you can make the other team boom or bust and take those high risky down the field throws and allow that front seven to get active, and then that secondary to really stay on their guys who have these secondary guys aren't one of those where they're not having a cover. They're actually really darn good cover guys as well. So they're playing man-to-man coverage and they're playing zone as well. And so they're doing a lot of different things in their scheme because all 11 players are a headache for the offense. And it's done a remarkable job, and it's allowed Bo Nix to really not do too much, but also be himself where he could be a rookie and then he could look like a savvy veteran as well.
I love that point because I don't think oftentimes we bring up enough. We talk the situation rookie quarterbacks fall into, right? And oftentimes, what are we saying in that situation? It's what's your offensive line in front of you and what's your play caller, right? And what's your relationship going to be with the play caller? And then that ends the situation conversation. But oftentimes you're picked in the first round, in the top half of the first round, 10, 12 picks. You're going to a team that is usually dog shit.
Yeah, that's true. Trash.
Like, you're going to a team that is not only struggling on one side of the ball, probably the other as well. So you're running for your life. You're Caleb Williams trying to make plays. You're trying to get your team back into it because your defense is giving up points. You're getting back on the field repeatedly. There's leaks in your offensive line. There's a lot of things that, you're right, are going wrong within what you have as a roster and what you're trying to turn around with this new quarterback. I love that you brought up the point that Denver's defense really was established the back end of last year, where they started playing really good defense. They carry that into this season, and you have Bo Nix, who's taking very few sacks, making very few unforced errors because he knows he doesn't have to try to play hero ball. He doesn't have to try to go out there and make a million plays because he can trust the defense. I think that's a big part of his situation and their success that I don't think enough people are talking about. I love that you brought that up. The other part that I think has surprised everybody around the league, and I was talking to some people with the Chiefs before the game on the sideline, was Bo Nix is a really good athlete. Like, I'm going to say something crazy. I didn't say this. Steve Spagnuolo said this, but Spag said, when I watch the film, I see a little bit of Josh Allen in him. And you're like, whoa, Josh Allen's a bit of a unicorn running the football. But he said Bo Nix is their third leading rusher, Steve. and this has been an issue, they have 10 rushes of over 20 yards this season as a team. That's it.
How many Bo Nix got?
Bo Nix has 6 of the 10.
Wow.
Like, he's been their most explosive runner, honestly.
That's crazy.
And so I don't think teams knew he was as good of an athlete as he was, as twitchy as he was, and how he runs the football, which is added to their offense when he gets into trouble, Steve. What? He doesn't feel like he has to force it. He can run for a handful of yards and protect the football. So it's been a really great season for a young quarterback guy. There's a bit of a I told you so from Sean towards the league. I think there's a reason why they're in shotgun and 3 wide almost all the time, because he wants to show everybody that he made the right pick at Bo Nix, and Bo can handle it. And we'll see what they can do in the postseason, because this is a defense, and we'll spin this forward just a little bit to see at the 7 seed if they can take down the number 2 Buffalo Bills, which would be an upset for sure in Buffalo. But they had 63 sacks this year. 63. Like, it's 12th most all time. They get after it up front with all of these, I was talking to DJ Jones in the locker room, all of these grown men in the middle of the defensive line that they have.
Grown-ass men.
Teams. I mean, big. Him, Malcolm Roach, Jonathan Franklin Myers. I mean, these are big dudes. Zach Allen. Like, big guys up front that can really establish, their position and get after the quarterback as well. I would be interested, and Buffalo quite a bit because we talked about him a lot on the show. What do you do with Patrick Surtain in this game?
That's a great question.
What's going on? James Palmer here, and let's get real for a second. You see the underdog graphics flying in and out of the show 89 with Steve Smith and myself. Well, you're probably wondering, what are these? Well, what they are is it gives you an opportunity to participate, to start playing. You can use the promo code UD89. You can scan the QR code and you can start playing instantly. Dive right in and you can win $1,000 bonus cash like that. You just got to pick higher or lower. So remember, scan that QR code. Use that promo code UD89. What we do here at 89, we give you analysis, we give you breakdowns, we give you the news. We love that you're here. We love that you're watching us and hanging out with us. But now, when you do this, you get an opportunity to find out if we actually know what we're talking about. How would you deploy Pat? Because he is a different type of corner. Do you just have him shadow Amari? Do you find his skill set and size to be useful in other ways? And we know the way Buffalo is built, right? Mm-hmm. We know the way they're built to attack the middle of the field. I'm kind of thinking,
I can tell you.
Okay.
I would put him on Kincaid.
Yep.
I would put him on Kincaid because that is, and Amari Cooper, wherever Amari is where he is he full speed, which, with the injuries, it's gonna be cold. I would put the rookie who's doing he's not rookie.
Second year. Yeah, but he didn't do anything his rookie year. Riley Moss. Yeah,
okay.
He was hurt.
Yeah. So I would put him on Amari Cooper, and all the other guys, Knox and Keon Coleman, so Surtain on Kincaid or Cooper, whichever, analytically which guy are they trying to go to. And then put your other guys on them. And I think I don't want to say I think you're fine, but I think you are, Vance Joseph, you're more comfortable with that matchup.
Yeah.
Right? Where you follow depending on what the tendencies is and based on alignment and assignment, which that in itself becomes that cat and mouse, because what happens if you put Amari Cooper and Kincaid in a bunch formation or put them on the same side? Or you put Kincaid over here, or you put Amari, and you have one of them motion to each other. Now you have Patrick Surtain. He has to now, does he switch to Kincaid? Man, this is where I'm in my bag over here just thinking.
I know, now you're excited because this isn't, because VJ, I know VJ, and it's nice to see Vance Joseph actually getting some love in the head coaching hiring cycle, has some interviews lined up. I know he wants another crack at being a head coach, but right now, we actually texted a little bit, said, listen, the best way to interview for these teams right now is to keep winning. And I said, yeah, that's a good way to kind of do it.
One of the reasons why is the farther you go during the season, you don't have to make a decision, and the impatient and teams that you probably are like so on the job, well, they are willing to wait all the way if you're going deeper into the playoffs. So
Yeah.
that kind of plays it to his hands too. You start to weed out, I don't know about this team.
It does.
And you're
It does.
playing, shoot. Ooh,
It was fun.
that
It was
plays
funny
out.
though, because Sean Payton was asked about Vance Joseph and some of these head coaching opportunities. You know what he said? He goes, "You know the best thing you can do?" He goes, "Aaron Glenn in Week 18 for 3 hours was the best job interview that he could have for a head coaching opportunity. It's better than he could say anything to a GM or an owner. Just go watch what his defense did to that Minnesota Vikings offense." He said that's a great interview process. But anyway, VJ has had the ability in his secondary. Patrick Surtain has shadowed a lot, more than maybe any other corner in football. They found a way to put him on number ones as much as possible. The other communication that has to go on in the secondary to be able to have him move. And so I'm saying that is a strength of theirs, and everybody's healthy back there. There's a fall off when they're not. To communicate and make these switches that you're talking about. But we know the way the Bills attack the middle of the field. And we know that the Broncos are weak at middle linebacker since they lost Alex Singleton, their starter. So they're not as good covering the middle of the field. And that's a strength for the Bills. I'm fascinated to see what this Broncos defense does. We know what Shakir can do out of the slot. Jaquan McMillan, who's a better nickel corner, going to have his hands full there.
He's a really good nickel corner.
He really is. He's a good player. So I kind of like this matchup, Steve. It's going to be fun, and I think it's just going to be good for Denver to get, their feet wet in the postseason with a young team that's trying to change a culture and trying to put something together. It's fascinating, though, but it's going to be interesting because I do think, and I've talked to some people around the league that are voters, I think Patrick Surtain's going to get some Defensive Player of the Year votes this year. And it's hard when you don't have stats as a corner, right?
Yeah. Man, when you were talking, I was thinking about the last time they won a Super Bowl, that no-fly zone to lead Chris Harris Jr. and Roby.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that reminds me, these guys all are different types of players, but they bring something unique and can confuse and slow down the defender because one is a great specialist of staying there. That's what the Broncos did against the Carolina Panthers in that Super Bowl is they lined up to lead on Greg Olsen at the time that they felt the best route runner to affect the defense. And so you now find the same situation, but you have Shakir, who's I think a better wide receiver that the Panthers had on their roster at the time outside the tight end. That can make things a little bit fuzzy because you got Coop on the outside, dominant on the outside, playing primarily on the outside, and then you have Shakir playing in the slot, middle of the field, but has the ability to spray and burst release to get him outside of the numbers and outside of the hash as well. Then you got Keon Coleman, who's more down the field, jump ball. He's out there. Man, you have every level, all three levels, deep, intermediate, and in the field. And then you have James Cook cooking underneath where you have the dump off where he can get a little bit of a chip. So now the chip slows down the pass rush, and then you have the outlet, which we've seen. And by the way, Josh Allen, who could get physical and get active when the defenders are turning their backs to take off running. So that could be a very good game.
It might be a sneaky good game.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I do think you're right. I think that's a Bills advantage, backs versus linebackers for sure. And so the way they deployed Patrick Surtain's ministry, it's interesting you brought up real quick Talib. I remember Talib used to go against Gronk a lot when they used to play New England. And so he's lined up
because he was a big body guy.
Because he's a big body guy. And Surtain is a bigger corner. I actually had a DC tell me that he believes the only guy that can go one-on-one in the NFL with Brock Bowers is Patrick Surtain. Just because of his size and ability to move. He's like, no linebacker staying with him, right? No safety staying with him.
We've seen that.
Yeah, and corners aren't big enough to stay with him. I mean, there's a great corner in Trent McDuffie that could not do anything against Brock Bowers. So it shows you the rare skill set that we're going to be excited to see in Patrick Surtain going against this rare skill set of skill guys that the Bills have. It's going to be fun.